Fellas, I got amazing news here today. Y'all want to know what that news is?
Let's go, man. Tell us.
There is a possibility that we are getting AEW Fight Forever 2, not just from AEW and THQ Nordic. It looks like not THQ, WB is jumping back and bolstering up their game decisions. There was rumors going around stating that they were selling off their game division, so they were jumping out completely, but they have made the decision to keep their game studios, and now these different IP they own, like Batman, you think Mortal Kombat, you think AEW, they're going to be licensing these things out to different companies to make these games. So even if they're not made in their own game studios with like a Rocksteady, NetherRealm, Avalanche, they're going to be licensing them out. So pretty much, let's say this. Like, let's say they want to keep Ukes making the AEW games. WB can actually fund it so the game can actually get complete and they don't have to depend on Tony Khan to be the one to give them all the money and release the game early because they broke the budget. WB has a lot of money than Tony Khan was willing to put into the game. And the fact that the engine is already finished, Tony Khan owns it. They can give that back to Ukes and WB can pay Ukes to make a bigger, better AEW game. And I think it will be as good as we thought this first one was going to be. Kiddo, do you think this is possible? Do you think this is likely? And if this happens, will they deliver?
Well, I definitely think it's possible. And if it happens, I think they will deliver because from what it sounds like, they're cutting out the middleman, which is the THQ Nordic. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
less people that you have to communicate with, I think more clear the communication becomes. So that was like the major issue with the first game. Like Kenny Omega was saying, I want to do this. And then the THQ developers were saying, I want to do that. And it was just like a whole mess. So I wouldn't hate to see it. Yuke's directly working with Warner Bros., a company that understands what video games are about because they do put out a lot of games. We're gonna talk about the
Mm-hmm.
other studios as well, but I think it'd be good. Now it comes down to how much value Warner Bros. Places on the name of AEW. And you look at their TV deal, I guess the company in general should know that AEW can make you money. So I hope that
Mm-hmm.
they don't see them as like a small time because when we talk about video games, AEW and to a certain extent even WWE could be seen as small time because like we're talking billions and billions and endless amount of billions of dollars. So if it happens, I do think there's a possibility. I'm not sure if it's a big possibility. But
Yeah.
I'm positive on this. Like, I really am expecting this sequel to come out because AW, from what it seems, is not going anywhere. Tony Khan has unlimited amount of money, so like at some point that second game has to come, right?
I think it definitely has to come. And you look at like WWE. WWE, you have Take Two, you have 2K. They pretty much go ahead and handle everything. So even if
You're right.
Warner Brothers says, you know what, we don't want to be the developers, we just want to give this game off to somebody else to make, they could go directly to EA. And EA makes AEW
Yeah.
games. Now I know everybody kind of rushes away from EA, but would they be as bad as 2K? Because if you look at this My Faction stuff, people spend a lot of money in there. So if EA hits us with the microtransactions, there's not going to be a huge difference from it.
They'll be worse. They'll be 10 times worse. EA is
'Cause
100%.
the
crazy.
UFC games
They
aren't too
are
bad with
predatory.
Oh,
microtransactions, though.
that's what I thought, Kenny. Well, I don't know about the microtransaction parts. You might be right about those not being worse than 2K, but the quality of the game was horrible. I remember UFC 5 when it came out, the reviews, it was horrible. They had a similar situation where I think instead of, the game coming out next year, they either waited 2 years or like more than 1 year. So people were expecting, bigger and better things, actual, great changes to come to the game. And I think the only thing there was like this doctor stoppage mechanic, and everything else was the exact same or worse. Like so, EA worse with microtransactions most likely. I don't have the facts right now, so I'm not gonna glock that in. Way worse in terms of the quality of the game we're gonna get. Like this year, you can crap on 2K24 all you want, and I think you would have the right to do it. But at least we got special referee, some obvious good stuff in the game that I cannot diss at all. So with EA, I feel like it'd be even worse. But
Well,
EA, like you said, is one of the
I don't know,
potential
kiddo.
companies.
because they did put it's a completely new engine in UFC 5. So it's the first one with this engine. So as you know, normal, sometimes it's going to be bare bones. And the game actually is not terrible when you get in there and play it. It's not like it's broken. It's just the career mode sucks. I mean, and that is going to be an important thing they are going to have to fix in the wrestling games. The ground game sucks, but that's not something you have to worry about in the wrestling game. If they can make a good system where it actually feels good when you're in there playing, you know what? I think they can actually come out better than they are with the UFC games, because the problem with the UFC games is with the THQ games, man, they were so good. And with EA, they started to make good games. I think the first three were actually pretty good. I didn't like 4 and 5 though. So I don't think EA is just the company that makes terrible games. I'm more scared about it from the microtransactions, and I just don't think those can get worse than they are with 2K. So
Mm.
I know everybody's hesitant to see EA take over a game, but I don't think it'll be too bad. No. Well, I mean, let's go to Metacritic. We got to check the Metacritic.
All right. Let me see. Hold on. So here it is.
And
Yeah, what's
okay,
up?
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just like, we got 78 by,
Pause it.
actual game reviewers. What's up? The trailer will be okay. Look, the user score, that's what we gotta focus on in Metacritic. Now, sometimes people go overboard and do review bombings, but
Yeah.
like, I watched many videos on UFC 5 specifically. Like, this is not surprising to see at all. 2.7. That's not good, Kenny Bomb.
That's not good at all. It's not good at all, Kiddo Valentine. I'm not going to lie to you, buddy.
Yeah.
I bought that game and I played it for 2 days, dog.
I played it for a few days too. I jumped into career mode and was like, "Oh man, this is the same thing as it was last year. I don't want to
What
play this."
happened? Remember what happened in that wager, Kenny?
No, I don't remember that, bro. Let's go ahead and keep the video moving.
Bro, like, yeah, it was just super low effort. Like, it's even below the bare minimum that EA could do. So, like, I don't want it. I right now, I don't want it. If it was 10 years ago, I probably still wouldn't have wanted it. There's a reason why EA gets chosen as like the worst or the most hated company every couple of years. The stuff they do with Battlefield, like, the list is endless. So moving away from EA, if they're not gonna do Ukes, which I think is the more likely outcome because Ukes has everything at this point, man, they gotta go with your actual game field, man. It's NetherRealms, the ones that do
No,
Mortal
man,
Kombat.
no.
No?
It'd be a great game, but I got to have NetherRealm Studios working on Injustice 3 right now, so we can't put AEW in their hands. But I will say this though. What was the studio we were talking about before EA? So, because I was going to ask you who would be a better choice. Yeah,
How about
you.
Virtual Basement?
It'll never come out. But if we look at like Ukes, think about it, man. That's the team that made SmackDown versus Raw. Here comes the pain. They can do it. They can make a good wrestling game. I'm sure we don't have everybody on the team we had back then, but pull Corey Ledesma back in there, and I think Ukes can actually make a great wrestling game. So I say we don't leave Ukes. I think WB should just fund the game, give Ukes the budget they need, give them the time they need, and let them cook. Because if you ask me, Ukes made the best WWE games of all time.
Yeah.
Shout out to 2K though.
Just
They are washed.
Look, the right conditions, I think, could give us that perfect game or close to perfect game. Because, like Kenny said, they're the ones who did Here Comes the Pain before. It is possible. They have it in them, man. They have the dog in them. But
true.
Here Comes the Pain 20 years ago, bro. The same team that was there 20 years ago
SmackDown
was
versus
definitely
Raw
not there.
2010. You love WWE 2K14. They did that one too. So come on.
100%. I'm not discrediting them, but what's the odds that team is still together, dog?
They're still together, man. They still, you know what? Even if it's a skeleton crew.
Brian Williams was the head honcho.
They'll be all right. Okay, well, we can get Corey Ledesma back in there. He got the experience. Back when we were getting the best games, we all hated on Corey Ledesma.
yeah,
but
dude, everybody hated him.
Cole
man.
was over there doing his thing. Obviously, he was cooking.
Well, just to name some alternatives, we got Rocksteady under the umbrella of Warner Bros. Who did the Batman Arkham games. They were amazing. But lastly, they did the not Justice League.
Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
That's
Let's go ahead
right.
and keep it moving.
That's
Let's
right.
go ahead and keep it moving.
That was not good. So I don't know. And they have like Warner Bros. Montreal who worked on Batman Arkham Origins and other like combat games, fighting games. Maybe they could try, but like, yeah, when I look at it, it's either NetherRealms or keep at Ukes. Like those are the only two realistic
But
choices.
you know what? WB Montreal, that's actually a pretty good one because they took like the Arkham
You're right.
world and they actually used their, I guess,
Assets, everything.
yeah,
and
they use everything, yeah, their assets and stuff,
You
and
got
they
a
made a good game. People hate on Arkham Origins, but that was a really good game. I think
agree.
that was Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah,
So
like
maybe they can still take this engine that Yuke's built, and they probably can work with it.
I don't know why
So
people hate it, but like I remember they brought in Catwoman, completely different character to play, and she
mhm,
was good too, like mechanically.
real good.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see, we'll see. We're waiting for beta breath for another AW game though. Like, gotta give
It's
it
gonna
to us.
happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen, kiddo. It's gonna happen.